Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are listening to Endless Journeys, the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners.
Hello. So we are here for an official Chill and Spill
Yay.
episode. So I just want to say it's been a while since we've done a Chill and Spill episode. And I'm just going to say right now, it's entirely my fault. It is not Michelle's fault. It is all of my fault. The only reason why we have not done a Chill and Spill recently is because I only had enough willpower and enough energy to do the episodes that we already had planned. I'm finally feeling good enough again, and I finally have the energy to do this. Now, we did say in our Chill and Spills that we would both be drinking wine or drinking some sort of alcoholic beverage during our Chill and Spills, just to make it more interesting and to make it just more, like super chill. I cannot drink because I am, what am I now? 20 weeks pregnant. So there's no wine or alcohol for me, sad face. I am drinking my water with my electrolyte hydration packet because
But it looks like red wine, though.
I mean, it definitely does not taste like red wine. It's very salty with electrolytes. So yeah, since I've been pregnant, I've been drinking so much water, but I feel like I'm not hydrated ever. So I've been adding the electrolyte packets in, and it has been helping, but I hate the taste of it. So that's what I'm drinking. Michelle, what are you drinking?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that much juicy stuff has flown around since we also found out you're pregnant either. Like, there hasn't been anything like, I don't know how to say this, but there isn't anything like, there's been a couple of little flukes, but nothing that's like pertains kind of to like businesses and where we could, talk about it in a different light versus like who said what, So I feel like this one was ready and ripe, but even up until this point, it's been nice and quiet in vet med, and that's always a good thing. And honestly, I was like going back and forth before we hopped on. I was like, should I drink? Should I not drink? I'm like, what's the proper etiquette behind this? Because as much as I'm foul mouthed and I'm filthy, like I do like to have good etiquette. So I was like, should I drink or not drink? And that's when Jen gave me the permission to drink.
Oh, yes. I told her, I was like, I still go out with my friends and I still say, drink if you want to drink. It's totally fine. Just have an extra one for me is all. Yeah, that's all I can say. And I even told her, I was like, I'm taking one of my really good friends out tomorrow. We're going and it'll be her birthday in a couple weeks. So I was like, I'll freaking buy you a birthday margarita. I might even buy you two, since I can't drink one. You can drink mine. So
one for you, one for me, or one for her. Yes.
Yeah. So nope, that's okay. That's okay. I'll be able to drink again very, very hopefully soon.
Can't wait. Oh my God,
No
we're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have fun.
Okay, so what are you drinking?
Okay, so we got this bad boy in Costa Rica. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, nice.
Judy. Yep. Alex had to open it for me because apparently I don't know how to open a corkscrew because, hillbilly, we just don't do stuff like that. Usually it's out of a box. So I actually think it's perfect for tonight's theme, which is called the Devil's Carnival. I have not tried it yet, but I had Alex open it for me before we started record. Apparently it's sweet, and you can only get it in Costa Rica, to my knowledge, unless you get it sent to your house. And I have not tried it yet, so this is my real reaction to
sweet
it.
wines.
Yes, I do love a sweet wine or a dessert wine.
Mm-hmm. I like the fruity wines.
It's not sweet. Nope. Mm-mm.
No.
That's all I'll have. Yeah, that is not sweet. Or I got to put some grape juice in that and ruin it. But the Devil's Carnival, I think, is a little bit too much devilly for me. That is pretty bitter, but it says it's sweet.
It's better. Is it like more bold? Is it dry?
I think it's both or dry. Yeah, it's. I hate to say that. It's
You don't
just
like
not.
it?
I don't. I think I'm so used to my two wines that I do like
Yeah.
that I'm not sophisticated enough with the palate to enjoy and appreciate other wines. I'm like, it must be my sweet revenge or nothing else.
Okay. So
I,
let's get to it. So this chill and spill, we are specifically talking about some personal stories from girls who have personally messaged Michelle after working for different relief businesses. So we're not going to be talking about which specific platforms that these ladies were working for. And we are also going to keep these ladies anonymous. But I'm going to let Michelle start off by saying how we even got onto this topic.
yes. All right. So it was over the weekend, and I was in one of those vet tech forums, vet tech pages, and something had caught my eye. It was an anonymous poster talking about her experience with one of these matchmaking companies for vet techs and clinics. And it piqued my interest because I thought about you. I thought about relief work, entrepreneurship, owning your own business. And so I talked to the OP and then also a couple other gals inboxed me as well. And I did tell them, we'll keep everything as vague as possible. We're going to keep you anonymous. I was like, we're all friends, we're all pals. Let me know what happened. And I saw some common themes. I could hear one girl was in her voice, in the message, I could hear behind the words of her feelings about how she felt. And this, again, we're just chatting, but I could feel the pain behind the words. I don't know how to say that. And it just broke my heart because I feel like some of these girls who go for these relief companies and some of the techs that do this, I want to say it's almost like their last line of defense before they leave that med.
Right.
And that's what hurts me is I think
Or part-time
if
work, just to make
exactly,
ends meet, to make extra
exactly
money.
that too. So it's needed. This service is most definitely needed. But we wanted to explore the options of possibly in some of these scenarios, what would happen if you own your own business versus working really for a platform
Right.
and how it could benefit and, also talk about some of the issues, the common line issues that I was told.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle sent me these stories prior to recording, and yeah, I had already told her. I was like, "Oh, I have a lot of thoughts
you
about
did.
these stories. I have lots of things to say." Yeah, so let's get into it.
All right. So I will do this. So I will have a sip on behalf of the people that messaged me. Cheers to you for standing
Mhm.
up, right?
Yeah.
Standing your ground and telling your truth and your side of the story that may or may not have been able to been told. So I'm going to actually, even though this is a little bit more tart, I'm going to do a little sip in honor of you gals and you too, Jen. So
I feel
here we
like I
go.
would very much like that wine. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying you might get a bottle shipped to you here in a few months. All right. So I got a couple messages. We're just gonna go one by one. Also, we're gonna be pretty fast about it. But I got a message from a technician who worked with this app for a few years. She was in one of their basic levels, basic tiers, basic formats. I don't know how this works. I've never been on these platforms. 14 years experience with ER. And they would not let her level up. She was bullied out of shift and she let the platform know that she was going to be leaving a few hours early. Per the lady
Because
who
of
I
the
spoke to.
bullying.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because of the bullying, she was going to leave a few hours early. The platform said that she would be in jail for 30 days if she did. Okay. But it's what happens next is where the patterns start. She said she took a shift that was really good, but the clinic was slow that day. They're just having a slow day. We all have unexpected slow days. So the clinic said, okay, we'll send you home, right? The platform refused to pay her, even though it wasn't her fault that she got sent home early. And the next piece to know is that she missed one shift due to her child in the hospital. And that's when she was banned, and that was considered her third strike. So we have three different instances here, and the third one was considered her third strike. And we have a child in a hospital. That's what upsets me. Obviously, you can get documentation for things like this. So that's where I started to really emphasize with her. And I think this was the first one that I sent to Jen. And I think that's where you got a little, you also yourself got riled up. You're like, I feel it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I automatically, just from hearing, didn't feel right about the people, and it was obviously too much for this person, and she's just like I have too much self-respect for myself to be treated this way, so I'm leaving. I'm not going to deal with this. And then for the platform to just say, oh, okay, well, if you walk out on this shift, then we're not going to allow you to work any more shifts for a month. It's like, to me, to me already that was outrageous. That was completely bogus, because I know that if I was being completely, as me being a business owner and owning my own relief business, if I walked into a clinic and immediately felt disrespected, I would I would walk out too. And one of those things, whether she got paid for it or not, I would also say, you know, it depends on what I have on my contract. And I am very clear. I'm very clear about many things in my contract. So yeah, no way would I deal with the disrespect either. But if you owned your own business, you could walk out of that clinic and you could turn around and you can walk in right into another one. So the banning for 30 days just for that
Yeah.
pissed me right off. The next one was the fact that she took a shift and then the clinic sent her home and then the platform refused to pay her. That's also bullshit. That is bullshit. Um, Also, just gonna say, on my contract, it specifically says that if the clinic sends me home early, I will still get fully paid for that day. And that is on my contract as a business owner.
Yeah. You mentioned that a few times that even if
Yes.
they send you home for any reason, you're
Yep,
still getting your money because you set aside time for them that you could be making money
exactly.
somewhere else. Yep.
Exactly. So,
Mhm.
like, yes, that when I heard that, that also completely pissed me off. I was just, yeah. And then again, then missing the one shift. And then completely for the platform to be like, yeah, you just can't do it anymore.
Come on.
It's yeah. No, that's bogus. That's
Yep.
bogus.
Yep.
And that's what happens when you work for when you work for a business. I mean, they can make whatever rules they want, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, but those are all of the things that I automatically thought of for myself owning my own relief business.
Yeah. And since Jen, I can't comment on this one very much, but since you will be having a baby soon, if your child was in the hospital and somebody gave you a strike against that, like, wouldn't that just burn you to a crisp? Like, you get pissed? I imagine I would.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't even think a normal hospital would do that. If you worked
Yeah.
full time a for an actual clinic, if you called and told them that you were missing a shift because your child was in the hospital, a clinic would not. They would say, "Yeah, do what you need to do, take care of your kid."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
That
of
makes sense.
any normal job that would fire you over that. But they said that it was because it was considered her third strike prior to her other 2 strikes. That was her walking out on a shift because she felt disrespected by the clinic, which I feel like if you are walking out in the middle of your shift because of full on disrespect, like they have to be
Bad.
really, really mean or really, really rude to you, or yeah, really bad, because we put up with a lot of shit in Vetmen. I've put up with way too much disrespect and shit, and even thought about being like, "Ooh, I would walk out right now." Like, "Ooh, just I mean, I have. There's been a couple times I've walked into clinics as relief and been like, just say something and give me an excuse to walk out
Oh,
and
really?
never come back. Yes, I have. I have thought that. Um, so I have.
I love that energy. I freaking love that
so
energy, man. You're like, give me a reason.
so what
Dare
I'm
you.
saying is if it was to the point where she literally was like, no, I'm not dealing with this. It's not worth it to me. That has to be really, really bad, because as technicians, we already put up with so much full on disrespect and bullshit from our coworkers in and of itself. So I couldn't even imagine what she was dealing with for her to
Yeah.
just be like, it's just not worth it. Um, and then the second one, and totally not her fault.
It's not her fault. You can't help it that a clinic's slow. You know how many times I've been sent home because the clinic
Well,
was
you
slow,
can't
but I'm
help it
usually the
that a
first one to
clinic is
ask to
slow,
go.
but you can't help it when the clinic chooses you to be the one that they're going to send home. And I've had plenty of conversations with people who have done relief prior to when I was making my contract. One of the number one things that people told me was they said, put on your contract that if they try to send you home because it's slow, you still get paid for the full shift, which is why you don't do hourly pay, you do shift pay. Because regardless whether you work the entire shift or not, you get paid. Because what they will try to do is they're going to try to send the relief person home.
Ah, because you guys are probably more expensive.
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay.
Which is why you put it that you will get paid the entire shift. And I have had people ask me sometimes with my contracted shifts where they're like, oh, well, we could send you home early. And I literally say, yeah, you could send me home early, but I'll still get paid for the whole shift. So you decide. Do you want me to work for my pay today? Or do you just want to send me home early? Because regardless, I'm getting paid for the whole
Hmm.
day. And
Yep.
I'm assuming your practice manager would rather me be here if they're going to pay me for the whole day. That's what I say.
Have you ever had an instance where they still sent you home anyway? Or
No,
if they did, okay.
no.
That's what I would
As
imagine.
soon as I say that, they go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, then you should
Never
probably
mind.
stay.
We'll have you
Yeah,
stay. Yeah.
yeah. And then I find something to do because I'm
Yeah.
getting paid, whether that's cleaning,
Hmm.
if they're
Stocking.
slow, then
Yeah.
clean, stock, find something to do.
Pop open those 3 ml syringes and,
Yep.
pop, 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 do
But
all
you can't
those.
help that if it's the clinic saying, no, we're slow, we're sending you home. She can't help that because she's working for this platform. She's not working for herself, and she's not working for that clinic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
all
then
out of
she
her
also,
control.
yeah. And that's the thing is, that's the part that me and Jim were discussing. A lot of this stuff, it's like, even though you are not employed with anybody, and some of the things I heard about the stipulations behind working for some of these platforms is you kind of are, but you're not
Mhm.
in a sense. And that's the same gal went on to mention that it seems like these platforms are all about protecting the clinics, and the relief techs get treated like shit. Uh, and she goes on to say, you can't try to pick up shifts outside of these apps or you will be banned. You can't talk about pay outside of these apps without getting banned. If you ask for a recommendation from a clinic to level up, you will get banned, which that part really pissed me off. Like, how else are you going to level up and level up your pay if you don't get recommendations from these clients to say, yeah, this chick's really good?
Right.
It sounds like we're still working for somebody at the end of the day, but we're not.
Well, and you're getting judged by somebody who doesn't even work with you. You're getting judged by somebody that is maybe that you're talking to online or through email. But you're never meeting them in person. You're never working side by side by these people. These people aren't actually sitting there watching you work. So the clinics that are sitting there watching you work, and they are sitting there and they're looking at your skill level, they can put in that input, and they're saying that that's not allowed. So this is all speculation, right, Michelle? This is all just information that we're getting from these individuals, because neither one of us have ever worked for these platforms. This isn't something that we've really delved into,
Right.
because again, I'm my own business. So this is all just kind of speculation from our side of things, and this is just what we're hearing.
Yeah.
If that is true, that doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
You're getting judged by your skill level from people that you're not even working beside. That's
Exactly.
that's doesn't make sense.
And it makes sense from a business point of view. We'll keep everybody at a basic level because we can pay them less. Like, that's what it kind of came off to me as when
Mhm.
one of the people were talking about it. And it's one of those common themes of, I have this much experience, but I'm only this level. And even though I don't do the apps, I feel like if we're going to grade ourselves out of 1 out of 5, which we do at like review time anyway, right? If we work for a clinic, if we own our own business, we
Right.
rate ourselves 1 out of 5, 5 excellent, 1 terrible. I
Right.
think most of us feel like we're a good 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
I Nobody wants to be the arrogant 5.
Right.
Nobody wants to be the terrible 1. So saying I'm a 3.5, 4 is good because it shows I am competent, but I'm not overly uh arrogant about my skills. So I
Right.
think most people are going to level themselves a little bit lower anyway to be humble
Yeah.
just in case they can't perform. I know that's what I always did when I was asked, well, how do you think you rate? I'm like, 3. Every time I said 3. And I think most of us do that. So we're
Well, and
already doing that.
I don't know how these platforms are rating either. I don't know if they're rating if by doing an interview with somebody.
True.
I don't know if they take a quiz,
True.
or if they're just asking basic questions like, how many years experience do you have? How many years have you worked in like specialty ER, GP, label this, and then listing skills and saying, are these skills that you can confidently perform? I don't know how these platforms are doing it. So again, I can't, it's difficult for me to even say, like, how are they even trying to figure out these tiers? I don't know.
I
So
don't know either.
that's something to think about as well. But I think just from hearing, just from this one story in and of itself, it doesn't sound, it doesn't sound fair.
That's a good word. Fair. I like that. It does not sound fair. And who knows? Maybe they have like a quadratic formula system for it,
Yeah,
like
I have
something
no
very, very
idea.
scientific based on evidence, and who
Do I
knows?
agree with the
Yeah.
tier levels? I do, to a certain extent. I think levels are important. I think it is important to know for a clinic to know um, the amount of skill level that this stranger essentially is walking into a clinic. And it is important for them to know, where are we at here, how much can we ask them to do, and to know that we can have them do it confidently, because I think it is scary for clinics to have a complete stranger to walk in, and a DVM to completely and entirely trust this stranger, because ultimately if a mistake is made, it falls on the DVM, right? It falls on the
Mhm.
doctor. So I
Good point.
do see how these clinics can be very cautious with that,
Mhm.
and it is
Apprehensive. Yep.
important for them to know what skill levels these technicians, assistants, and even DVMs, because I think with some of these platforms are allowing DVMs as well to come in and
They
do
are.
relief. So, yes, arterial level is important. I think so, but you also need to have a you need to be able to, what is the word I'm looking for? You need to be able to do it right. You need to be able to
Yeah.
figure it out
Yeah. I
correctly.
mean,
And they need to be asking. I'm also assuming these platforms are asking about these specific employees that are going in, right? And they're getting rated. I would also assume that.
I would assume that as well. I feel like, yeah, they would probably reach out to the relief tech and ask them, "Hey, what do you think you're at far
Or
as
the
this?"
clinics,
Yeah, and the clinics, yeah, and the employees.
both
I would hope
sides.
so, like audits, and then I would also maybe just to give the clinics a little bit more background information. Hey, this person doesn't have a criminal history. We cleared them. We do random drug testing, like stuff like that could also help these clinics feel better about the person that they're hiring.
But are
But
these
I
people getting follow-ups about these clinics as well? Like, so maybe the clinic, yeah, and girls, if you're listening, please answer these questions for us because I'm really interested to know these platforms, they're reaching out to the clinics, I'm assuming asking about you, but are they reaching out to you asking about the experiences that you're having at these clinics?
oh, I want to
I want to
know.
know that.
Mhm. Me too. Mhm.
Mm, I'm curious to know because that is what they should be doing.
Good point. I love that energy. I love that face too you're making. You're so
I just
serious right now. I love it.
it's true
The look.
though.
Yeah.
You
It
know
is.
what I
No, you're
mean?
right. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, who's vouching that these clinics aren't super toxic? Because also, yeah, think about it. These clinics who may
They're
be
short-staffed for
chronically
a reason,
looking,
man.
yeah,
They're
they're chronically
short-staffed
looking, you know.
for a reason. And I'm not gonna
Yes.
sit here and say that every clinic that I've done relief for is toxic because that's absolutely not true. I've worked for some fantastic clinics with great staff and great people, and
Yes.
sometimes there's just certain things. But in some situations, there's
There
a
are
reason
certain
why they're short-staffed.
situations. Yep,
So,
exactly. So,
okay,
I
moving on to the next one.
okay. So the other lady who I spoke to, or man, who knows, we're just going to keep everybody as anonymous as possible. Um, this individual informed me that they got sick and went to the ER. Okay, so we're in the hospital, we're in the emergency room, and they canceled 3 shifts. And they had multiple doctors' notes. The
And these were
plat,
in a row, I believe,
yes, yes, from
because
what it
of this
sounded
one
like.
sickness,
That's what it appears to be, yes, is this individual had one sickness lasting multiple days in a row in a hospital.
which
So, like,
happens.
oh, yeah, exactly. A good case of appendicitis, you're in the hospital for a few days. You know,
Yeah.
you can't predict this stuff. So, when this person informed the platform came back again, speculation that they'd only accept COVID as a valid reason to
To
call
not
off.
work.
Exactly. She was lined up for 3 different clinics, but she let all of them know ahead of time. So it sounds like she landed herself in the hospital and she had different clinics lined up for the next couple of days. It sounds like there was 3 of them. Got sick unexpectedly. She let the app know and she let the clinics know. So she did her due diligence and she had multiple doctor's notes.
So 30-day suspension.
Yep. Yeah. She got a 30-day suspension because of that.
Yeah. And so, and from what I gathered too, reading the message, it was just, it was said that it was just sheer respect for the clinics themselves of, hey, I'm really sick. I don't want to just show up and get everyone else sick.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Especially when you have a
which,
solid
oh
diagnosis.
my gosh, it's so weird. I've worked for so many clinics, and it's like, honestly, I feel like you can't do any right when it comes to things like that. I'm gonna be super honest here because I have heard people be like, "Oh, so and so sick. Oh, well, how sick were they? Like, you're so sick you couldn't show up to your shifts, blah 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 blah." And then I've had other people
Oh,
where
I'm thinking.
the sick person has shown up, and then people are like, "Oh, so you just show up and then get everyone sick?"
Mhm.
So I feel like that's a lose-lose situation. That is not a win-win situation at all. I do think that this person made the best choice for themselves, which is, I mean, that's all that you can do, right? Is you just make the best choice for yourself and what you think is going to be the right thing to do. Because let me tell you what, it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to be the fucking wrong thing when it comes to stuff like this. When you're sick and you show up to work, people are going to be pissed off at you for showing up to work sick. And then when you're sick and you don't show up to work, people are going to be pissed off because now they're short staffed. And well, how sick was this person? It doesn't matter. So I just wanted to get that out because that's how I truly feel like about that.
No,
And you
I
can
get
tell
it.
me if you think I'm wrong, Michelle, but
No, I don't. No, I can tell you the few and anybody who's worked with me in the past, except for maybe towards like my dad's later years, would tell you I personally never hardly called off sick. And I can tell you when I did have to take time off work to either care for my father or the few times I was legitimately sick, I felt terrible because I'm like, I can't be there. And are they whispering about me behind my back?
right,
But exactly. Or the one time I had the flu in 2013, I remember it. I was so worried that they were going to get mad at me, even though I did have a doctor's note. I was so worried about that. But then I also was like, well, what happens if I go there and I get everybody sick? I legitimately was diagnosed with the flu. I had a doctor's note and I was nervous the entire time I was sick. I just felt bad. I'm like,
right,
either way, I'm screwed. And that was a lifetime ago at this point. So
right,
we still remember these things that happened years ago and our feelings. So it's 100% true. And I think validated that when a technician is sick, we put so much pressure on ourselves to perform that we're at home feeling horribly emotionally because we have let our clinic down. But we know we can't go in for the reasons that we don't want to pass it along and that we feel like garbage
right,
physically. And now the emotional toll of, oh, I let my team down.
right,
You're screwed either way in these situations.
right. And this person let let these clinics know in advance, also let the platform know in advance, had a doctor's note, so
Hmm.
had a paper trail, did all the right things, and still got quote unquote punished for it. But let me tell you what, let's say this person did show up for the shifts. Okay?
Hmm.
Let's say they
Okay.
showed up for the shifts. Let's say one, at least one of the clinics, if not all of them, got super pissed off that they showed up sick, got and exposed them to everyone else of this sickness, and at least one, if not all, called and complained to this platform about it.
Yeah.
Would not the same thing possibly have happened? Or say they sent this person home early because this person showed up sick.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Okay.
Well, we're going to just send you home early because obviously you don't feel good. Call the platform. Platform finds out. Platform says, oh, well, we're not going to pay you. Like what happened with the first person.
Yeah.
There's many
It's
different scenarios to this. This person made a decision that they felt was best for themselves and they got punished for it. But I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you, I don't think it mattered what decision you made. I feel like there would have been something that happened where you would have been punished for whatever decision you made.
I
I
think
think you
so as
made the
well.
right decision.
Oh, most definitely, especially because this person was in ER, so I think they had no
Yes.
choice but to make that decision from the sounds of it.
Yes.
And
I mean, and I believe that there is in the message it even says that they were having difficulty breathing.
mhm.
So that was what got them into the ER. So yeah, I feel like it wouldn't have mattered what you did. There would have been some sort of form of quote unquote punishment for this,
I think so too.
and that's completely unfair. It's not fair. That is that is laughable. That's a joke. I
Exactly.
oh my gosh. I am one of my very first shifts that I did, I ended up getting extremely sick. I still showed up for my shifts.
Mhm.
Um, but I ended up getting sick. So the first night, I felt okay, but I felt like, oh, I just don't feel good. The second night, I woke up and I was so sick. Like it was so bad. It was so bad that I called my husband and I wasn't even in the same town. I was 3 hours away and my husband, like, he Ubered me Dayquil and
I
cough
love it.
tablets. And I just remember I was so sick, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my first real relief gig where I'm traveling, and now I'm so sick." And I showed up for the shift still. Everyone was so sweet. They were like, "Oh, do you just don't look like you feel good?" And I was like, "No, I'm so sick, but I'm here." This clinic is amazing too. This is one of the most amazing clinics I've ever done relief for. I really wish I was lived closer to them because I love working with them. And then the third shift I worked, I just, oh my gosh, I think I made it half of the shift. I only made it halfway, and they sent me home. And I went to the hotel that I was staying at and I slept the rest of the time. And then I met up with another clinic that I talked about doing relief. And when I met up with her, she was like, "You don't look good." I said, "No, I'm so sick." And she's like, "Oh, honey," like everyone was so understanding, but they were like, "Go home." And I did. Oh my gosh. It was just like one of the worst times, worst situations. And I think at that point in time, so I had my contract done, but I had not at that point, for me, I was like, "Well, what," of course, in the contract, you're talking about like, oh, if you, um, if you get sent home early, I'm still getting paid for the entire shift. I got sick and I left. And it was, like I said, it was my first relief gig ever. And I told them, I said, "Look, I only worked half the shift. I, you only pay me for half the shift because I was so sick and it was out of my control." And I talked to the practice manager, and that's what they did. And I thought it was completely fair for me because I mean it was out of my control. They still paid me, for at
Oh,
least
that's
what I
okay.
worked.
Yeah.
Um, but as in my contract, I had nothing about if I got sick kind of thing. And so that's why I was like, "Oh my gosh," like those are different things that you think about. And at that point in time for
As you
me,
do.
it's more of like an ethical thing.
Mhm.
The different things that I've thought about. Um, I just recently had a travel relief shift where they had their apartment available for me, but I because I was pregnant and I was, like, vomiting and having to pee, like, every
I remember
fucking 2
that.
hours.
Yes.
Their bathroom was upstairs. They didn't have a bathroom down in, like, the basement area. I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's no way I can do that. Like, I'm gonna need easier bathroom access." So I got my own Airbnb, and usually on my contract and on my invoice, it says that if I'm gonna travel, you will be paying for wherever I stay. And I remember the gal asking me, she goes, "So is your invoice going to change?" Because I told her, I was very transparent with her of why I wasn't going to be able to stay in their apartment and why I needed my own private space. And she's like, "Oh, I totally get that. That's totally fine." But then when I gave the invoice, she goes, "So have things changed as far as what your invoice is?" And I said, "Look, no." I said, "You guys have the space available for me to not have to pay me extra for the Airbnb. I am making the decision. I am personally making the decision to have my own Airbnb. I am not going to make you guys pay for my Airbnb because to me that is just the right thing to do. And at the
Very
end of the
ethical.
day, it's a tax write-off. So
Sure.
it's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
You know
So I'm
what I
sure you got a
mean?
nice Airbnb then. Like
Yes. So
I
I got a
would.
nice Airbnb for
Yep.
a good tax write-off. And again, I feel like, because when she asked me, I was like, "Oh, I feel like they would, because according to my contract, that's what my contract says, and they had signed the contract, right?" So in their thoughts, they're thinking, "Oh my gosh, okay, now we're gonna have to pay on top of, you know,
Oh,
we are gonna have to pay for this
yeah.
Airbnb too." And I said, "No." I said, "Because you guys have the space that's available for me. I'm the one deciding not to use your space. I'm not gonna put that on you guys to pay for that. That's just for because of what's going on with my personal situation right now." So that's what I mean. Like there's different things, especially when you're owning your own business. of how you're going to handle these things, right? Because these things are going to happen, but you have to figure out, especially if you're owning your own business, how you're going to be fair as the business owner and how these clinics are going to be fair to you. And things like that you will figure out as you go along, because you're not going to know until you're actually in it to be like, okay, this is a situation now. Now I have to figure out what the right thing to do is here and what's going to make them want me to come back too, especially if you really like these clinics. What this person did and what happened, not handled
Bullshit.
appropriately. No, these platforms, to me, I'm going to say this, these platforms are obviously so big that they just have a black and white protocol and they
Yeah.
follow these protocols and they don't consider these situations.
You're right. It's a one size fits all.
Yep.
I can understand having protocols just because me and you both do it with our businesses. So I can
Right.
understand. But my concern behind these strict protocols, when again, we have a paper trail
Right.
for a one time illness, my concern is at this point, are we taking advantage of the influx of burnt out technicians who
Right.
are at that point where they don't want to work at one clinic anymore, but they want to have some independence and some autonomy? Well, we have the market, so we're going to make sure that we control the situation
Right.
by putting down such harsh guidelines, such as this one right here.
Right. No, it sounds like there is somebody that is having conversations with
It does.
these people.
It is.
But it still seems like a black and white protocol to me, just from these
It
three
does.
examples. Seems
It
pretty
does.
black and white to me.
It does. Me as well. It's very strict. It's not forgiving. And they do, yes, they do. I think there is a mediator in a lot of these platforms, but during the mediation process or during the investigation process, they shut you down for up, I would not say a full 30 days, but up to 30 days,
Yeah.
therefore preventing you to make money in the meantime, which
And I'm over, yeah. And I'm going to say this too.
is weird.
I am so over the that COVID is the only valid reason to get out of work. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. I'm over that. There are so many
Hmm.
other things that can be just as debilitating as COVID.
Right.
Okay? So either this happened a long time ago during the whole COVID crap, or they
Hmm.
still are holding the same stupid protocol and it's crap, because there are many different sicknesses that people can get that are just as debilitating as COVID.
Hell yeah. Bad sinus infection can knock you on your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a person who's had COVID,
I had it once. Yep.
kicked my ass,
Mine too.
but so did the flu.
Yep. I don't know, I thought COVID was worse. COVID was so bad.
COVID was worse. It
Yeah.
was worse.
It was
But the
terrible. It was
flu has
worse.
also kicked my ass to the point where I could not go to work.
Yeah. I mean, and you shouldn't either because, everybody else will get the flu. But yeah, it kicks your
And
ass and you're
my
down.
period cramps have kicked my ass so much that I could not go to work. I could not physically get up. No matter how many ibuprofen I overdosed myself on. So, I'm
Destroying your liver and kidneys with
I
ibuprofen.
am going to, I'm just being honest here.
Yeah. No, you
I'm
are.
sick
And
of
that's the
that.
thing. It's like
I'm
we get
sick of
sick.
that COVID excuse. That is the only valid reason why you can get out of work. It's
And
stupid.
exactly. I mean, it's a sickness like any other sickness. There's so many different types of sicknesses out there. Strep throat, RSV, shingles, mingles, whatever is going on at the moment.
Yes.
Smallpox, chickenpox,
Some of
monkeypox.
those
There's
things are
so many
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Yes.
Like, let only be one to me. I don't know. That's just weird. And yeah, I mean, COVID is rough, but I mean, I feel like having a protocol of a documentation that you were hospitalized during that time should
Yep.
kind of smash that situation down, and let's not suspend
Right.
our person for 30 freaking days. Like,
Right.
come on. I have a doctor's note. I was supposed to be at the clinic on Tuesday. Here's me, hospitalized, picture of my ID bag. Hey.
Yeah.
No. And they shut it down anyway. Like,
Right.
come on. That's
Yeah.
just that to me is just control.
Right.
That's just simply control.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And
So,
what would this platform do to me also, and people who listen to our podcast pretty regularly already know this about me, but I scheduled holiday shifts with hospital for the holiday, for the Christmas holiday and Thanksgiving holiday. A couple weeks before is when I had found I think a while before I had found out that I was pregnant. But then it became a really high risk pregnancy,
yeah.
to the point where it was really just advised for me not to travel out of my network and outside of my doctors that knew about my high risk pregnancy and why it was high risk, and to just be careful. So I had to cancel my holiday shifts at that, and it was with a really good clinic, and it was with a clinic that was going to pay me very, very handsomely for
I
these
remember you telling
holiday
me it
shifts.
was very handsome.
And I felt horrible, and I was very transparent with the clinic, and I told them why I was not going to be able to work these shifts. I believe I told them maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to Thanksgiving, which was the first shift I was gonna work. And in my contract, I have that on my contract that if I'm not gonna work a shift, and of course, we're gonna go into more detail on my contract in another episode, but where I do talk about, like, I will try to let you know within a certain period of time. Um, and so I said, if you need a doctor's note for why, for proof of my high risk pregnancy of why I cannot do these shifts, I'd be happy to write you a doctor's note. And they were wonderful. They said, we're we're sad to not see you. We wish that you could be here. We're happy for your pregnancy. And no, you don't need proof of a doctor's note. And they said, please let us know when you are up and ready to travel again because we'd love to have you back.
Mhm. Now that's what I'm talking about right there.
So,
That is a good
what
relationship.
would these platforms do to me if I had booked these shifts with through this platform and had to cancel because of my high risk pregnancy?
Oh, you would have been banned too, from the sounds of it.
And I'm still, and girls, girls who are listening right now, I own my own relief business. I'm still working other relief jobs, even though I had to cancel those jobs. I'm still working regular relief right now with local clinics in my area.
Mhm.
So,
And Uh, oh yeah. Another thing too to add in, if you are one of the girls who are listening who I chatted with, coming up soon, not to be like a shameless plug, but we are actually going to be recording what Jen puts in her contracts.
yes, that will be
And yep,
something that we're going to be talking about. Pretty in
yep,
depth.
yep, we got a whole episode lined up dedicated for it. And that'd be the one where I say, don't drive, sit at home and take some notes, especially if you regularly visit some of these platforms. This might be an avenue that you could explore for yourself. And then also, me and you, we have nothing to sell. We have no money to be made. We're
Right.
just going to give away information because we want to see techs stay in the industry.
Right.
So it's free advice from somebody who's
And not be screwed
successful.
over
Yeah,
like these girls have.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll help them. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to get that out to you guys soon. We actually expedited it a little bit on our schedule. Um, so that way you guys could get this information sooner.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
excited for that episode. Yep.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. And so we're going to talk about our last story here.
Yes. So this one is a little different. This individual has been in the industry for over 15 years. This individual struggled with a basic procedure on a fractious cat. The clinic sent her home, and then she received the 30-day ban that we've all been talking about due to incompetence. So they paused her account as part of the review standard process. And then the individual who I spoke with, it sounds like they had a conversation with somebody and then that ended up in a 3-year ban. That's a little intense. So this was like a one-time incident. And I'll be fair and be just knowing that I'm a little bit of a hothead. I would say things could have gotten heated in this conversation as well, to be fair, because I know how I am. So I the diplomatic side of my brain says, okay, think about this from both angles. Everything is speculation. Who knows? I try to give everything the benefit of a doubt. But for me, it's the same thing. It's here's your slap on the wrist, 30 days. You can't make money while investigating something. And that's the common theme. And to put somebody in a procedure to work with a fractious cat, I actually got urinated on today by a fractious cat, but Jen, we know how you feel about fractious cats.
Yeah, that's not any secret. Again, anyone who's
Yeah.
listened to this podcast regularly knows how
Yeah.
I feel about cats in general and fractious cats at that.
Yeah. Like I said, I got pissed on today by a cat. Like,
Right.
I still had 2 more appointments to go. I
Right.
haven't seen a fractious cat in years.
Right.
And the cat wasn't fractious. I picked it up and it just whoop, urinated everywhere. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
And that was that. So cats can be really difficult to work with in the first place.
Right.
But to me, I don't know. It's Jen, what do you think? You're still in a clinic setting. I'm
So,
not.
so just to make things a little bit more clear, struggled with a basic procedure on a fractious cat. So we are keeping this, we know what the basic procedure was, but we are just trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. But when you think about a basic procedure on a fractious cat, what are the different things? So we're talking about possible just restraint. We're talking about
Could be.
drawn blood. We're
Yep.
talking about placing IV catheters. We're talking about,
Intubation.
what's that?
Intubation, vaccines, nail
Yeah,
trims.
possible intubation. So,
Yeah.
saying that vaccines, any of those things, right? So you can think about any of those things, any of those basic procedures on a fractious cat. How basic does that procedure become on a fractious cat? So, and again, anybody who's listened to me regularly knows I try to stay away from the fractious cats. If I'm going to do anything, I do tell people it's probably best that I'm the one that draws the blood or places the IV catheter. But even then, I've had times where I'm in the middle of placing an IV catheter or I'm in the middle of drawing the blood and the cat spats, it hisses, it yells, it moves, and I'm like this. Like, I'm like backed up, like, whoa, okay, all right. Like, I don't want to get bit. I don't want to get scratched. It's not worth it to me. And I always say fractious cats, they're way happier when they've been given medications, So I'm the first one to be like, hey, it's not worth it. It's not worth anybody's safety. It's not
Same.
worth stressing the cat out. So, and thankfully, I will say I've worked for many clinics who agree and they say, yeah, all right, let's get drugs. We're not gonna push it. So, yeah. So when you're saying you're struggling with a basic procedure on a fractious cat, welcome to the club is what I'm gonna say, because I've been there, done that. Even as, as experienced of a technician as I am, and with all that I've learned, with Fear Free, I can restrain cats hell of a lot better than I used to. I don't scruff automatically like I used to. I try to use other techniques and things like that. But there's been so many times where I have worked and, I'm trying to place an IV catheter and I don't get it right away. And so I try to place another one. I don't get that one either. And then after that, I tap out because that's the right thing to do. You tap out.
After
You
2
tap
pokes,
out.
right? You got the 2 poke roll,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. 2 pokes, you tap out.
Same.
That happens to anybody. I don't care if you've been doing this for 2 years or if you've been doing this for 20 years. You're not going to get every single one. Sometimes you just have a bad poke day. Sometimes, it is what it is. You just do.
That.
You just have a bad day. Like, I don't.
But a bad poke day.
I don't know.
I know that bad poke day. Like, I had a bad poke day. Like, I just want to say that.
It's just, it happens. That is so normal. And I remember, and I've had conversations with you, with Michelle, when we first started this podcast, when we were talking about, our imposter syndrome. episode, which is really, really popular. People really like that one. And even when we were just talking about first day on the jobs, right? What
Oh,
did I say? Biggest thing for
yeah.
me that was most nerve-wracking is people are judging you, right? Because they don't know you. And you're expected to know what you're doing as relief when you walk
Mhm.
into a clinic and you're thinking, "Oh man, these people are judging me. They're watching me. They're looking at me and I better get this on the first try, right? Because if I don't, then they're going to think that I'm incompetent." We talked about that.
Yeah.
It is a
Everybody,
big
that's the
pressure
thing.
for
Yeah.
relief technicians,
I could
and
see
that
that.
is something that I talked about in both of those episodes, being a relief technician. So it is. And so, I don't know if this was maybe the first thing they were having this person do, or this was just out of the blue, and then they sent her home because she couldn't do this procedure. I mean, and I will say too, sometimes you just have to tap out. And I
Yeah.
mean, and again, I think it was just one of our recent episodes we were talking about how I say when there's a fractious cat around and somebody calls me and I say, I don't know if I'm the best person to even be around the fractious cat, right? Because it's all about your energy. And so
It is.
I if I'm the only option, hell yeah, I'll come over and I'll do what I can to help. But at the same time, you got to think about other things. And so it's just one of the, I mean, come on. This one really set me off because this clinic called this person incompetent because they quote unquote failed um to to do this procedure. But
Yeah.
again, with this procedure, I've seen the best doctor, I've seen the best technician do basic procedures and still fail and tap out and say, "All right, somebody else has got to do this."
Yeah. No, definitely, we all have, yeah, those things, those days where we just can't do shit.
Yeah,
It's like, the
I've been
full
that
moon.
person.
Yeah, I've been that person. We've all been that person. And I can't help but to wonder, again, like you said, Jen, a lot of these clinics are relieving for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this person was put into one of those very sticky situations, and this particular clinic may have ran out every other employee in town.
Right.
Again, not all clinics are like that. I've been very open. I'm very lucky in my clinical life. I can only think of like one kind of clinic, but I've had very awesome clinics to work for. But I have heard and seen too many stories where I know there's a lot out there that are toxic. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering if this is one of those, again, common themes, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, and this story was, a little bit more on the vague side with this one. Some of the information I was getting. So we could be missing bits and pieces here, to be fair, as well.
Mhm.
Um, but the common theme was 30-day ban. You can't make money. And, you know, we're going to hold
And then
you
a
accountable until we've,
conversation was had.
yeah. And
And
then
then
she
apparently
got
with this
three
conversation,
ban.
well, it sounded like from the conversation from what I read, it was a he said she said situation, right? So the clinic came back and the clinic said things, and then she said her side of the story, and then basically this platform said, "Well, your story is not matching up with the clinic story, so we're just going to ban you for 3 years instead."
Yeah. I think that's really
Ban you
harsh.
not just from this clinic, we're banning you from working on this platform and picking up shifts at other hospitals for 3 years.
And now that my brain's really thinking about it, that also hurts the hospitals in the areas too. Because this could have been, and I'm sure it was, a very stellar technician.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And now other hospitals don't get to know about her because they're in trouble. They're on the naughty freaking list. So it's also hurting the clinics too, which is also hurting other veterinary staff, which is leading to burnout.
Right.
Or am I wrong?
No, no, you're completely right.
Full
So,
circle.
yeah. So yeah, again, this is another situation where, and I'm going to say as a highly skilled relief technician who owns her own business over here, again, I can tell you there have been times where I have had to tap out of things. So there's been times where I have tapped out of things and I've been like, can't get it, need somebody else to, place an IV catheter or to draw blood on this animal. Um, Something like that. Even intubate. I was just telling Michelle a story literally that I had this weekend with my DVM that I worked relief at this past weekend, where we were setting up for an endoscopy and I was going to intubate my cat. And no, everyone knows that intubating cats in general is not easy. And I was going to intubate and I had a size 4 ET tube. It was a very large cat. So I was like, oh, 4 should be fine. And I'm trying to do it, but there was a lot of saliva pooling up right where the trachea was. And I was like, that's weird. And I told my DVM, because my DVM was holding for me because we were extremely short staffed. It was literally just me and my DVM and a receptionist. And I said, there's a lot of saliva pooling up right where the trachea is. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. And I couldn't get the 4. I got it in, but it was like, felt like it was stuck, like it was almost too big. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go down to a 3.5. And so that's what I told her. I said, well, I'm gonna give him a little bit more prop. We're gonna give him some oxygen, and we're gonna go for a 3.5. But I looked at the doctor and I said, do you actually want to try to intubate this cat so you can see what I'm seeing? Because I'm seeing a lot of saliva pulling up right at the trachea, and I can't tell whether it's coming from the trachea or whether it's just pooling from the salivary glands from the mouth. And my DVM looked at me and she goes, yeah, okay, yeah, let's switch. And so she tried to do the same thing. She was like, oh, I see what you're saying. That is really strange. She's like, but I don't think it's coming from the trachea. I do think it is just pooling. I think that the cat's just creating way more drool than normal. And I was like, okay. And then she got it. And that was it. And then we moved on. And then we did the procedure. And there was no feeling of, oh, well, Jen was incompetent. She couldn't even intubate this cat. You know what I mean? I mean, that is a healthy conversation that you have with your coworker, whether that's your colleague, whether it's your DVM, whether it's another technician, whether even it's an assistant. And you say, I don't feel comfortable with this. And I have always been very transparent in every single job that I've ever had, that if I did not feel comfortable doing something, I'm going to speak up for myself. And I'm going to say, you know what? I think this is too far. I don't think I'm the best person for this particular case, for this particular job, or I've poked this animal twice and I can't get it. Like, let's find somebody who can't. Like, that's what a normal clinic would do with their normal team anyway.
Yeah.
That's what a healthy clinic is. So in my opinion, this isn't even a clinic that I would want to personally work for anyway. If that's truly how this was dealt with, if it was something just as simple as that, that is ridiculous. And that is the reason why these clinics can't. Sorry, I'm getting heated. This is a reason why clinics cannot keep their themselves well staffed. And so that's why I also am sitting here wondering, okay, so with these platforms, are these clinics reviewing these technicians, but are these technicians also reviewing these clinics?
That's a very good valid question. And now, I want to know, because let's hold these clinics accountable for this shit too.
Yeah.
Like the person who got very sick and had a cough. Would it be possible if you were relieving and you worked for one of these platforms, if you walked into a clinic and everybody there was obviously very sick with the flu, COVID, whatever, and you could see it on everybody, could you go ahead and report back to the platform, hey, they did something naughty. I walked in and they were all ill. I could see it. Where's the accountability for the clinics? Because it does seem like time and time again, these platforms are favoring the clinics.
They're protecting the clinics.
Yeah,
and that's even
the clinics.
What the first person said on here is they
Yeah.
blatantly just feel like, these people who are doing these relief shifts are getting treated like shit essentially, and they are not getting backed up by this platform. They're backing up just what the clinics are saying. And so it also, so there's one incident. And I also want to make this really clear. The the post that Michelle found, there were many, many, many comments with
Many,
similar stories with
many.
these platforms.
Yep.
These were just the stories of 3 particular people that chose to message Michelle and tell their story and allow us to talk about it on this episode. So
Yeah.
these, it doesn't sound like these are isolated issues. It sounds like this is a lot of issues with these platforms. And the original post, now we're not going to go into detail of what the original post consisted of, because that person didn't give us permission to talk about it. But the original post was similar to what these girls were talking about, and they were very, very upset, and they were wondering if other people were having the same issue, which is why this got brought up.
Yeah. And I can't help but to think now that I'm really kind of talking through this with you and I'm digesting it and I'm thinking about it. It's like like a big systematic issue, but almost intentionally, I feel like they're punishing these people to try to make them obedient. And I feel like they know that they have the market and they can pick who they want.
Oh
So they're
yeah.
going to train the obedience into these relief techs. Just like if you join the military, what's the first thing they
Yes.
do? They break you down to build you up. And I'm almost wondering if it's like the same thing of like, oh, I'm a really good relief tech. Look at me. I've never been in jail. And
Yeah.
that way you have that sense of like what we do in a clinic when we're a full-time employee, like, oh, we're the best employee, we never call off. Like, I wonder if it's creating that sort of sense of competitiveness, that sense of I have to keep, you know, performing or else I'm gonna get, put on the blacklist or something. I can't help but to think of that. And then that is true. That's just contributing to the system. Now, what I would say is with all this, we take that power away from them and we show other vet techs how to start their own relief business.
Yeah.
How can they do this? Because if we're still flocking to these guys in numbers, it only gives them the power to hang that carrot over our head of obedience, or else we're going to suspend you. And if they don't have enough technicians working for them, or I'm sorry, working with them because, you're independent. But if we don't have enough technicians working with them, then they have no choice but to lighten up the leash a little bit.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's just what
Well,
my brain is thinking. But
yeah.
I'm always one of those, tinfoil hat people too.
Yeah.
But
No, I completely agree. And also the fact that I the fact that they can refuse to pay these girls after they've worked a certain amount of time, like that they it's like they are they just flat out like they showed up to at least a partial shift and refused to pay them. They just absolutely refused to pay them, got away with it. And let me tell you what, too, these platforms are also taking a percentage of compensation. So they're not even getting paid 100% of what they're working for, because these platforms are taking a compensation, whether
that's
that's
how they make their
anywhere
money.
from 15% to 30% is what.
30%?
Yes.
You gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
No. Nope.
30%. Oh,
Yep. And let me tell you what, me as a LLC owned relief business, I get 100%, other than taxes, right? I have
hmm
to do my own, I'm a 1099 employee. I have my own accountant. And my taxes are a little bit different. And so basically, I have my business account, my business out, and all of my business expenses are all kept in the same account so that I can keep track. And then I have, but I have tax write-offs that I can use, such as mileage and, like I said, that Airbnb, my scrubs, anything that I use for work, all
Meals?
tax write off. Meals.
Yep.
They said there's a certain percentage. It's not a
There's a
lot,
certain, yeah. I
but
go
there's a
out
little
to
bit.
dinner with colleagues maybe 4 to 5
Yep.
times a year, roughly, give or take. Also, too, wear and tear in your car. I write off,
Wear and tear in your
yep,
car.
Critters needs a new set of legs, and that's getting
CE,
business expense. Yep, CE. Yep.
CE. All of those things are tax write-offs. So
Hmm.
yes, I mean, but I still, at the end of the day, I get 100% of what I contracted for. It doesn't go to somebody else. It goes to me,
I think it goes all to
and then
you.
I pay my taxes. And as far as am aware with these platforms, is not only are they taking a certain percentage of your compensation of what you're working for, but then you're also considered a 1099, so you're also getting 20% taxed on that too. I
Oh, God.
believe I believe that's how it works. Now, if we're wrong, somebody correct us. But I
Yeah,
believe
I would
that's
like to
how this
know.
also works, is with these platforms, they're getting 1099 still. And they still have to figure out the 1099 tax. And they're not even getting 100% of what they're owed, because they're going through these platforms, and these platforms are taking compensation.
Oh, yikes. Okay, so we're getting taxed and we're paying these platforms a matchmaking fee. And when, like you said, you can pocket all that money
Just take out the
and
middleman.
you take out the middleman.
These platforms are just your middleman.
Yeah, it's like a dating app.
Yeah.
It's literally like a dating app.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so what services are they performing other than saying, "Hey, there's a clinic here. Here's a person here looking for some hours."
Mhm.
Other than that, you're doing all the damn work.
Yeah.
And so is
Yeah.
the clinic. So, I
Yeah.
mean, also would this benefit the clinics as well? Because then what happens if they have to pay too? I don't know. Maybe they don't, but like maybe it'll save the clinics some money as well.
Yes.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know if the clinics are paying these platforms. I don't know how it works. Again, I've never
But I'm sure
worked
they
for
pay
these before.
something. That makes sense. I mean, I feel
But
like
they
if
are taking, at least from what I've heard, anywhere from 15% to 30% compensation
fuck that, ain't
on
nobody
top.
taking my money
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yep.
don't know what the pay rate is. 100%. And I feel like it's different. Probably in different states. But I'll tell you what, from what I've heard of what their highest pay rate is, um, what I get paid is more than that. What I
Yeah.
ask for my is more than that. Than what.
And you've told me your fees and they're nice. Like
Hmm.
I never came close to that when I was in a clinic ever. Did I touch what Jen charges? Which she should, but also she has an overhead, but it's like if you're gonna pay it, you might as well pay it to yourself.
Yeah. And then I can tell you what, there's gonna be clinics that are gonna that have told me, no, I'm too expensive. And that's fine. I don't want to
It's
work
fine.
for those clinics anyway. Every
Yeah.
clinic that has accepted me and accepted my shift rate, I have had the pleasure of working there. And thankfully, with the experiences that I've had so far, I've had wonderful experiences for the most part. I have had some, you know, and like I said, just from stories that I've told, I've had, in business, you're going to have things that pop up that you're not going to know how to handle right then and there, but then you'll learn as you go. Um,
Yes.
and I've had, there's been a couple times that with a particular clinic I've had some issues with, but nothing as bad as what I've heard these girls go through.
Yeah.
So, um,
And even
so
just with sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, the way you're talking about these clinics that you worked for is very positive. Like,
Hmm.
you have a very positive outlook on them. And these people who go on these apps, from the sounds of it, they can't even cultivate a relationship with these clinics. Like, they're not allowed to
Right,
unless these apps are involved. Like, so
right.
you're not even allowed to form relationships with these guys. In Jen's case, you can form legitimate, beautiful relationships that are going to be long
Yeah,
lasting with
right.
these clinics. it's not long lasting with these apps. With these apps, it's like, what, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, a one and done.
Yeah.
We might
Well,
come back,
yeah. And because you're
but
dealing with the middleman. I mean, you're not
yeah,
even like I said, when I'm getting these jobs, I am cultivating a relationship with the practice managers for sure. I'm having conversations, um, things like that, getting to know them by their name and communicate with them. And then yeah, then you build that relationship, and then they get to know you as a person, and they get to know like your work ethic and your integrity and what you're all about. And again, it's one of those things. Again, sometimes you're just, I mean, we're human beings, right? Like we can't be perfect all the time, and
mhm,
shit happens. And that happens every day. It happens whether you're a full-time employee working at a clinic or working at any job, or whether you are a business, whether you own your own business, or, whether you're just trying to make ends meet, and, you get on with these platforms. We're all human beings. Not everyone is going to be able to be perfect all of the time. And shit happens, and people, we have to be given grace sometimes depending on what the situation is. So, but I will say it is a lot more difficult for people to give you grace when you're a stranger.
that is
And
true.
I I think that that's kind of what this is more, what maybe these platforms are cultivating more of. Well, you're just a stranger. You don't mean anything to us. You're just a body
Oh
that we
God.
need, you know? And I can say,
Uh,
thankfully, I have not had that experience. I know that have talked to Kim Gardner, who also owns her own relief business. Girls, I also recommend, if this is something that you are truly interested in, definitely listen to the Kim Gardner episode.
mhm.
Um, but she's had nothing but wonderful experiences as well as an
Yeah,
independent contractor.
yeah. And
So
she just started, I think, about a year ago. I want to say in February.
she started later
And
than
she's
I
already booked
did.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, and she's already, like, booked up solid for the
yeah,
next month, like, we just talked about that on
yeah,
another episode where we gave her a salute for that.
yeah.
So it's like,
And
she's
I
so
was
successful.
yeah, and I was booking up great. Like I was basically, my holiday shifts that I had booked 3 days in November and 3 days in December, and I was making I had a holiday contract with them, and it was enough money that I wasn't gonna have to work for the rest of those months.
Think
Um,
about that, guys. Think about
and
that.
yeah. And so the only thing was is I got pregnant. And now I have a high risk pregnancy that I'm dealing with. So and even now I've had to cut my hours a lot more. Unfortunately, I'm only working, gosh, maybe 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days if my body can handle it. But that is, a new road that I'm taking right now. I still own my own business, and I have been told, with all of the places that I've done relief at, that what I have going on right now, and if I have to take a short hiatus where I'm not working for them for a good amount of time, that it is not going to hinder my relief spot at at these clinics.
That's so important.
So I mean, just look at the difference there between how these platforms are treating you guys, and the experience that I've had as an independent owner. It's just, oh gosh, I feel for you guys. I oh reading your stories just made me so angry. Oh, made me so angry, because I
I
know
could tell.
that I know that it doesn't have to be this way.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, and the more we've thought about it, the more we've talked about it, there's a systematic issue here that's being created
Yeah,
with all of this stuff, and it's just gonna cause more collateral damage in our industry at the end,
yeah,
because my thought process is a lot of the technicians who are going to these apps are already on the edge of leaving, and this is gonna be the thing that pushes them out, because I feel like techs go into relief or who go into, like, when I do mobile work, all of them are at that edge where they've been burnt, they're done, and it's just like the straw that breaks the camel's back in some of
well,
these
we already
instances.
feel like nobody has our backs anyway.
We
Nobody
do.
has our backs as being licensed professionals. Nobody has our backs on, we're disposable.
Mhm.
we're easily replaceable. How many times have we been told that? I
Oh,
mean, I've
yeah.
been told that before in my career by a practice manager. It was in a memo one time where they said, "You
Oh.
are easily replaceable. We could find your replacement like that." So
Ew.
to be told that, I mean, and that was in a memo. Like they were basically telling their entire staff that everybody in that clinic was easily replaceable. So
That's fucked.
this this is
No.
not
No.
helping the vet
No.
med situation. This is not
No.
helping our toxic culture that
Nope.
everyone is talking about all the time. I just listened to um the vet med unfiltered podcast.
Oh, what's
They
that?
well they had a couple of
Never heard of
episodes
them.
by Whitney Nelson, but they stopped. They only have a couple of episodes. um
Oh,
It was the
no.
one that I was supposed to be on, and then
Oh, yeah, we
I
first
hadn't
met.
heard from her for a while, and then they kinda said, like, there was other things that were going on, so they had to stop the podcast. But there's a couple of episodes, so there's 3 episodes, but I just listened to one on toxic management because sometimes it's not the work, it's the workplace. It's about an hour and 14-minute episode, and it was really good, and it was basically, it's the same old crap. It's just everywhere, you know what I mean? Just we see it, we don't feel like we're supported. I mean, and again,
No,
and
we don't.
I've not kept this a secret before, and I'm sure I've pissed off DVMs. I feel like, Michelle, you said at one point a DVM did get pissed off at one of our episodes, and I
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
we don't have full support from them.
We'll never get their support. You know that. We'll never have NAFTA support
No, but
we'll never have the AVMA support.
we don't have our practice manager support either.
No,
I mean, that's just how we feel, right? If somebody's listening and they're saying, well, that's not how I think of my technicians, that's great.
that's great.
But that's not how we feel. The majority is they're backing up the clinics, they're backing up the DVMs. I don't know how many times I have been disrespected by a DVM, or I've seen other people be disrespected by a DVM, and then it gets brought up and they say, well, but I mean, they bring us really good money. This particular DVM, yeah, maybe they're toxic to the workplace. Maybe they don't get along with everybody. Maybe they're really disrespectful to people. Maybe they chase people out, but they're bringing in most of the revenue. So, sorry, they're not going anywhere. But
Money
you,
buys.
if you have an issue with it, there's the door, because you're not bringing in that revenue like the DVMs are. This is why this is not helping to cultivate like any of that positivity that we're trying to get. We just
No.
feel this. It just makes us feel like shit, and then it makes us
Yeah.
wonder why we're even doing this, because we're
Right?
certainly not appreciated.
Nope. Nope.
And
But
when
I'll
we
tell
are
you what.
appreciated, it's during Appreciation Week, which is just fake
Yeah. Yeah. It's
because they're
pizza.
obligated.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Because they don't want to
I'm
be that
being
clinic that, yeah, doesn't do anything. Yeah. They're like, well, we don't want to be bad, so we'll throw them a pizza party.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's, and when you own your own business, Jen, I know you're, like you said, throughout your entire pregnancy, your clinics have been supportive of you. When
yep,
I talk to you, when we're in like pre-record or post-record, when me and you just chat, like you talk so good about your clinics, and you can tell like you have formed that professional but yet personal relationship with them.
right,
And that's the vet med that we want to see. And Kim Gardner was talking about that as well. We have another guest coming up who does do relief, and I'm excited to hear the relationships that she's made.
right,
And you can't do that through these apps, and they're separating you guys from the clinics for a reason.
right,
Flat out.
yeah.
Make your own relationships, cultivate those relationships. They are your book of business, they are your babies, and they'll take care of you right back. And
And
yeah,
I'm gonna say too, the bigger these platforms are that you're going through, the more of, gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not personal to them. It's big revenue, right? You're just an ant. You're just a tiny ant in their big booming
One.
business.
Yep.
So I just really
Just
want
like
that
in
to
your
sink in
corporation.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, it's just like any other corporation at this point.
Yeah.
It's just you're still being held to this enormously high standard, but they give
Yeah.
you the illusion of you're in control of your own life. You don't have to
Yeah.
pay a subscription fee. They give
Yeah.
you that illusion, and
Yeah.
it's underneath it's bullshit from what it
Yeah.
looks like. Mm.
And I just want to be really, really clear. There are some platforms and services that we've personally spoken to.
Yep.
Um, and that we've actually our very first guest.
Jacqueline.
Yes,
Yes.
Jacqueline, our very, very
She's
first guest.
awesome.
She is amazing.
Very.
She has her own relief platform on the East Coast. She is amazing. I also recommend
Yes.
girls you listen to that episode with
Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline.
RBT
It,
owned business. Yep.
yep, RBT owned
Yep.
business. She started off by just her, and then she ended up opening Action Vet Tech Services. And it is, oh my gosh, just her story is amazing. She's an amazing boss, and just the way that she treats her employees is just wonderful. And if I, and I had even said, if I had worked if I lived in that area, I would have jumped on that ship to work for her in a heartbeat. And so there is a difference between good employers and bad
Yes.
employers. So
Exactly right.
yeah, I would say if you listen to this episode, obviously we want to encourage you to continue listening to all of our episodes, but I just encourage Jacqueline Phillips
Mm-hmm.
episode, she was our very first interview.
Very first, I was so nervous. Remember that? Oh my God.
And
Oh,
then
Jacqueline, if you're listening to this, thank you.
and then Kim Gardner.
Yep.
She also owns her own relief business. And then I also just encourage listen to our imposter syndrome
Yep. That's a good one.
episode and first day of do's and don'ts of and I talk about like my first day, like when I first opened my relief business and like what I did to make it more successful. And then Michelle talks about her first day too for mobile veterinary care. So there's definitely options for you girls. Don't think that just because this happened to you that you don't have options. That's the whole point of this podcast, is for us to show you that you don't have to rely on these companies who obviously do not care about you or us. Um, but we have empowered ourselves to become educated and become licensed professionals, and we have the power to be able to take charge of that and make it something for ourselves. So those are the episodes that I particularly think that you should listen to. And yeah, and just hopefully you'll keep listening. And then yeah, we'll be doing a specific contract episode. We're gonna do a contract episode for Michelle, and then I'm gonna go over my contract in a separate
Yep.
episode as well.
Yep. Yeah. We have some more like in depth, like ones that are like more into like the nitty gritty of our businesses,
Mm-hmm.
for learning purposes, our mistakes that we
Yes.
have made, the things that we've accomplished, how we got there, what we would never do again. I feel like the topics that we have moving forward really are starting to dig more deeper into the business side of it, versus like the personal aspect of it, which
Right.
I think is going to help out a ton of people. Again, we're not the end all be all. Like that's why we're here, is to learn from each other.
Yeah.
We got some guests coming up that I know I'm excited to hear from because they're going to teach me something.
Right.
And I think I've said this in almost every episode. Me and Jen are very proactive in building a community where we can all depend on each other as business owning licensed veterinary technicians, whether it's through relief, whether it's through mobile, and we can build up these resources together. We can help each other out. We can see each other succeed and help each other stay in the industry longer. And that's the whole goal of this, podcast since day one, was how can we help? What can we do?
Right.
And I
And to
really
talk
hope
about these
the episodes help.
issues.
Yeah, and to bring up
Like
these issues.
like
Yeah.
this is real talk here. Like we're not sugarcoating anything. We're here to really talk about the issues of why technicians are being chased out of this field. And this
Yeah.
is it. this is a big issue, obviously. So, yeah. And honestly, I just want to remind our listeners too, if there's something specific that you guys want us to talk about, in an episode, that is business related. One of our listeners gave us the contract idea. Let us know if there's something specific that you guys want us to talk about. We always have to, we have to be careful because, l- I don't know, the law and like legalities of certain things. But at the end of the day, like we're here to help. And, we're here because if this is something that you are wanting to do, we want you to be successful at it from the start. So,
Yes, that's the thing. And like, I wasn't successful in the start, and I wish to God I would have had somebody to help me out with free advice, building a
right,
community, to be like, Michelle, don't you dare do that. Because I lost some good ones in the beginning. I know I did because
right.
I didn't know what I was doing, which
Yeah,
drives the passion behind this podcast is learn from my mistakes. I'll make them again tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about them again tomorrow. And the same with Jen. It's just we want to see people have a jump start to owning their own business and realize
yeah,
you can do it. It's if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I know vet med and I know how to interact with people when I want to.
yeah,
And it's just simple things like that that can build your business. It's not rocket science. Me and Jen are here to help. We're creating more and more resources. And we just want you guys, have a good head start at this. And you don't have to rely on anybody but yourself and your own confidence, your own skills.
right. And we just want to be able to make you guys feel empowered, right? We don't want you guys to make you feel We don't want you to feel stuck or that you're just a technician and that there's nothing more that you can do and that you're stuck working at a clinic that you hate because that's all we're good for, because that's not true. And that's the whole purpose of this podcast. And we have interviewed, if you go back and you look at all of our interviews and you listen to all of our interviews, each one of those interviews, each each one of them is proof of how you can use your license to your advantage and
Yes.
how you can empower yourself and not have to rely on anybody else to build your own future.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And there's the different types of businesses as well. We just
yep,
released Caitlin's, and I mean,
yep,
hers is all about coaching in
yep,
vet med. I that
hmm,
was, oh my gosh, she's amazing. But she found her passion in vet med of helping other people in vet med. And I actually checked in with her. I don't think I told you this. I just checked in with her briefly the other day, Jen, and she said her business is picking up and she's being a lot more
wow,
busier. Yes, yes. I actually talked to her about like some of her social media stuff that I was getting ready to put out there. And yeah, that's when she said I was so happy. I felt so giddy inside. And, her business isn't based off of technical skills like you or me. She took
right,
a passion that she had and cultivated that business to help the industry. That to me is such an empowering thing because also it's thinking outside the box.
right,
I don't have to use my clinical skills, but I can use my passion. I can use my empathy and my training, and I can help
hmm,
others that way. So you can find something within the industry too that
yeah,
and go from there. Like we possibly might have a professional pet photographer coming up. And because
oh,
she knows
nice,
animal behavior so well, she catches beautiful sides of the animals that other photographers can't. And she's built an amazing business off of that. And that show is not solidified yet, but I think it's going to happen. It's just like on the docket. And it's again another avenue you can take. You don't have to think
right,
inside the box of clinical skills like
right,
what Jen does or the very
yep,
small clinical skills that I do. You can think
yep,
of something on your own and hopefully you get inspired by hearing one of these stories.
right,
And then if you have a unique one or, any business, come on and talk to us because
right,
somebody's going to learn from you.
yeah, reach out. All right. Is there anything else, Michelle, we need to cover, or do
No,
you think we covered it all?
no, I think we covered off. I'll always, like Jen said, send in questions if you have any. We'll always be happy
Yep,
to answer them on the air. Any stories that pertain to this.
yep.
Um,
Yeah, we'd
and
love to
if you,
hear if there's other stories out there that people want to bring up to the table. We're more than happy to talk about it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we want to hear from you guys. Thank you, Jen, for hopping on this evening. I don't know if you saw, but I did start drinking a little bit more of the wine. So I want to say,
Yeah.
once you get past that first bitter taste, it tasted
Sometimes, yep.
really good.
Hmm.
I had to get past
And
that first
sometimes
like
it has
shock. It
to
was good.
sometimes it has to sit
Sit.
and breathe for a little bit.
I think, yeah, it breathed a
It
little
probably
bit. I
just
mean, I
needed to
didn't,
breathe a little bit.
yeah, and I didn't even have like
Hmm.
a full glass, but still I had like four more sips because I was like, oh, it doesn't taste as bitter now.
Yep.
And
It probably
so,
just what I would do too, Michelle, is I would just I wouldn't put the cork back on the bottle.
Okay.
I would just let it breathe. And you can even let it breathe just for overnight and see if it tastes
Oh,
different tomorrow.
I didn't know that. See, I
Yep.
don't, if any of you guys know,
Yep.
Jen drinks, well, she did before she got pregnant, drank wine,
I'm a
like almost like a
wino.
professional. Yeah, she is. Like she has a wine guy that she would go to.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, don't most of us like go to the party store? So she's sophisticated. So if she says do it, I'm gonna do it, and I'm going to
Yeah. You can let
do
it
that
sit
tonight.
out and let it
Yeah.
breathe just overnight and then try it tomorrow and then
Yeah.
see if it and then if you like it, then I would drink what you would drink and then refrigerate it and then cork it and then refrigerate it so that it will stay.
And then if I like it that much, that's when I call my good client and be like, hey, can you bring me back in some of that Devil's Circus stuff, like on your way back
Yeah.
in? Because she goes to Costa Rica
Sometimes
like 5 times a year. Yeah. And I'm like,
sometimes they
bring me
just
back
need to
some.
breathe a little bit and sometimes they just taste better on the second day. So,
Well, tomorrow's Friday and it's going to be a warm day. So
mm.
that's what I'll be doing tomorrow night.
Yes.
Yep.
Well,
It's,
enjoy it and then let me know what you think.
uh,
Let me know if there's a difference there.
I will. Yes. Thank you for that advice. And then, yeah, it was a beautiful conversation. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
hope this
hopefully
helps.
I gave a little bit of insight. I just really wanted to emphasize with every single example on here of like what's happened to me or what would have happened if I would have been in this situation kind of thing.
It's a wrap. Good evening. Happy weekend. It's almost here.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right, you guys, we will see you next time.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.